Hey YouTube! So, let's talk about ghosts and my experiences with them, or really my non-experiences with them, because that's kind of how this video is going to go. So, I have a little beverage. This is not a coffee and collagen, so this is just me talking about ghosts. So, I don't know, grab one if you like one. Anyway, so ghosts. Ghosts in general. I have very weird feelings about spirits and things lingering. There's a bunch of different theories that I think ring true for me, and so it's one of those things that I don't have a very set definitive opinion on, or even the opinion that I sit on a fence like I kind of do with like all the afterlife and how the worlds work and everything, where I'm like, I don't really know, this is kind of the truth I'm operating within, and then I'll figure it out when I die. And I think maybe that's a little bit of how I feel with ghosts. I've never had a supernatural experience that would definitively give me a sign that there are ghosts, or there are people that linger around, or people get like the traditional sense of ghosts that like mainstream reality would have us accept, right? That someone's soul gets trapped or it's attached here type of deal. I don't really know if that is perhaps a thing. That like the place that you die or the place that you are really attached to, you would attach yourself to an object or something, possibly unwillingly, and then you have to kind of work through that to move on into whatever is the afterlife. But there are other ideas of, you know, things being that ghosts, a leftover bit of their energy could tap down, right? So if like I am one manifestation of me and there's like a higher self and there's like a bunch of other me's living in other realities, I could see where a piece of me could get left over in this reality dimension or so, even after I've died and moved on, because there's always that connection there. So I don't know, a residue or a leftover, an imprint of who I was could possibly linger around here. But also, like, what type of person does a ghost approach? Like, what type of person is sensitive to ghosts? It could be that I'm just not lined up with that, right? Like, I think there's a lot of people who tap into certain quote-unquote otherworldly, but I feel like they're more of this world. It's natural, it's just we haven't entirely proven it or whatever yet, right? I feel that different people tap into different things for a reason. It's a natural talent of theirs to do a certain thing for a reason. There's a reason there's certain people are drawn to tarot and can read from the cards really easily. There's a reason certain people are drawn to scrying with crystal balls differently, or a Ouija board, or using, you know, clouds or fire to do it versus runes. You know, there's a reason we are drawn to certain things. It's because that speaks well best to us, that feeds best to our talents in what we're really trying to pursue, right? So like there's a reason I tap extremely well into the astral, and I can kind of tap in and tap out, connect to it so easily, is because one, I've been doing it for a long time, but also I've kind of been naturally drawn to it. So maybe it's just the fact that I just am not naturally drawn to ghosts or tapping into whatever plane of existence that they inhabit on. But I definitely know when possibly there's a haunted and or feeling of a certain town, right? Like when I went to Jerome, I was walking around and there were times where I would be like, oh no, this like feels like weird, like kind of like home. Like it feels like there's something about this one space, right? And then we would go ask somebody, like, is there a certain haunting or something going on, me and my dad? And they would say, oh yeah, no, like someone died like right there. You're like, oh, okay. There's other times where I have walked around in certain parts of my old house that I grew up in. It was an old Victorian house that's been around for like over 100 years. And several people have died in there. There's a bunch of reconstruction that has happened, like there's stairways that are no longer stairways, and there's like a whole bunch of things like that. And so people would say, yeah, sometimes in that house they would see people walking like through walls and stuff, where obviously there used to be doors, but I never saw anything or felt anything like that. But there are definitely times where I would walk by something and I would be like, and I would tell my mom that, you know, I don't know, it just feels like there should be stairs here. Like it feels like I can access things through certain places and you can't. And then my mom would later find the old blueprints of an old house, of that old house, and realize that there used to be a stairway there, it used to be a doorway there. Like I would be able to pick up on something that was there that wasn't, and I kind of just like felt it. So there's things like that, but when it comes to actually seeing a ghost, I haven't seen that at all. I also am curious in some senses, because I wonder about when we're talking about spirits and entities, and you know, when it comes to demons or guides or animal spirits or deities of other religions, demons, guardian angels, all of these, what is the difference between, say, a spirit? Someone would say, oh, it's a human spirit that's moved on, and then those are of otherworldly, they're different in some way. And while I could recognize that a bit, I also kind of wonder if there is a way, you know, sometimes within horror or things like that, there's a way for a spirit to go from like, oh, just a normal spirit to a poltergeist to even like a demon or to like a really angry thing, and it degrades or goes into this past the point of no return type of deal. And that I kind of find interesting, even if I don't believe in that exact context, right? Because the idea that our souls or that a piece of us could evolve or change given the type of energy or intake that we are going into. And I don't really ever think that something could change into one thing and never be changed back entirely, right? Like I think you could always convert or like there's a way for you to shift around and to change into something new, you know? So if they're like, I am not always going to be, if I dyed my hair blonde, like I could bleach the hell out of my hair blonde and like, yeah, that is now blonde hair. Like I can't, or get the black back exactly, but I could put a new set of black dye on my bleached out hair and that would make it black again, right? You know what I mean? Like the journey, it'll be a different thing, but it's still similar to what the original was. Like there's a way for us to shift and change and to take new energies on all the time. I don't think we ever can shift into one energetic perspective and hold that entirely. So when I think of like ghosts and demons and other entities and things brushing alongside of us, especially when the veil is thin like this, I don't think that there's like a wholly evil entity that is like an evil embodied and it's a bit mad ghost that's trying to get at you and it's mad at you. But ghosts in general interest me in some respects, but in other respects I'm also very much like, don't touch me, don't mess with me, I don't want, no. Because that idea that ghosts have unfinished business definitely has stuck with me, even if it's maybe something I don't necessarily like mentally align with. Like it's like somehow ingrained, I think, as part of my truth. And quite honestly, I don't want to deal with your unfinished business. I have enough unfinished business of my own I'm trying to deal with in this life. I don't need yours along with it. Especially when it comes to even both my grandparents died in this house. And there are times where my dad will say things like, because it's his parents saying like, well, wouldn't you want grandma or grandpa to come back and like say hello to you if they're popping around? And I'm like, honestly, no. Like, I love you, grandma and grandpa, but like, go to another dimension, seek something else out, haunt them. That's cool, but don't mess with me. Don't stuff with my stuff. Like, I'm not interested. I don't really want to associate. Like, we had a great life together, it was good, we'll see each other in the next life or the next dimension when I'm done. You popping in and freaking me out would just pop in and freaking me out. And I think that's a lot of what I think kind of rubs me the wrong way about the idea of ghosts and interacting with them. Some people I think find a lot of comfort in a lot of, I don't know, purpose in interacting with the past in that level, right? With old relatives of theirs and the ancestral stuff, or like dealing with a ghost and like helping them move along. That really helps fulfill their life purpose. But for me, when I feel up that vibe, it does feel a lot of getting stuck. And I think part of the reason I don't want to interact with spirits of that nature, ghosts of people who lived here and then died so much, is because I don't want to be dragged into being stuck too, right? Like I don't want to be stuck in one place or one house or live in a constant state of something, right? When I see horror movies of ghosts and people like wanting to stay with the people that they love that ghost so much, I'm just like, but it's all the same. It's all the same stagnation. Maybe that's the Gemini in me, I don't know. But overall, that really, the idea of being stagnant, stuck, definitely is such a huge fear of mine, that the idea of being stuck in one place entirely for the rest of eternity as a ghost or something, just, oh no, rubs me so wrong. And it makes me think that there's gotta be, you know, it could be just a reaction out of fear, but it makes me think there's gotta be a way to evolve or to move on or type of deal, right? Like, if I ever get stuck somewhere, any relative watching this, please help me move on. Please get a priest, a priestess, a cultist, a witch, somebody, and have them talk to me and be like, Mama, what's holding you here? We gotta move you on. I'd be like, yes, thank you, help. I don't know what's wrong. Help. But in the same respects, I also understand and feel the importance of having a story told, you know, not being forgotten. I think, what was it, that the ancient Egyptians used to believe that, or I think it's as ancient Egyptians, but also I think this comes from like the Mayans a little bit, with like old Mexican beliefs, that you die twice. You die the first time when you actually die, but the second time you die is when you are totally forgotten, when like the last person that could remember you remembers you. And I think it is really sad in a lot of ways to think that we could come through here and have such an effect, but after a while, even our effect on the world will evolve and change into something else that people will not remember why that thing was changed, that you made a change in this life, that you assisted people or helped the world advance forward in any way, shape, or form, or backwards, or however. Like, you know, your imprint on this world will fade. That is something that I think is kind of scary. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm so dedicated to stories and learning other people's stories and telling stories, whether that's metaphorical, fictional, or, you know, autobiographical in a sense. Like, stories are important because it is kind of like the leftovers of what a person's life was, their impact, their change. Remembering your history, I think, is a really important thing. So I think that's part of the reasons why, and maybe ghosts pick up on that with me. Maybe that's why when I like go into places and I want to learn their story, just to learn it, to let them know that they're still remembered, that thank you for being here and moving the world forward in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for doing that. I think maybe they pick up on that, you know, like, I wonder at times, like, if I was stuck somewhere and people were like ghost hunting me all the time and being like, I'd get real petty real fast. I'd be knocking shit off. Like, I understand why ghosts do freaky shit if they're around, because I probably would get irritated at some point and start doing the same thing. Be like, oh, you want to fuck around here? Let me fuck with you. I went to Jerome, and some people like go to these places and get really creepy feelings. Like, I remember, it's funny, I've been watching a lot of like hot, like, ghost investigator videos recently on YouTube, and a lot of people popped up on the Queen Mary, which is a really haunted boat it's around the LA area. And it was funny because I went to a winter festival thing there like 3-4 years ago with some of my family. We walked around, and then my mom saw the boat and was like, oh, ancient old boat thing, we have to go see the history, because that's the type of, like, I get that also from my mother, like, what's the history here? So we went and had drinks on the Queen Mary, and I remember walking onto the boat and feeling a bit like, yeah, no, this place really, like, it just feels like it's got some stories to be told. And it was so interesting to walk around there. And me and my sister were walking around and kind of like just playing and having a good time, and, you know, we had no idea about any of the haunted history of the boat at all until we were like leaving. And then as we were leaving, we started seeing plaques of like haunting sightings, because they have them posted all over the boat. But like as we were like sitting there and walking around and just like feeling around, it felt just very like there was a bit of a sad tinge to it, but I was kind of like, oh, such a, like, I was like, I wonder if the story was sad of this boat. Like, it kind of feels a little oof. But oh my god, the history that must have been, like, I wanted to like look into the stories more, but I didn't have that feeling of threatening or creepy or anything like that at all. And then once we left the boat and I was like talking to more people, I was like, oh yeah, we stopped in the Queen Mary, and they're like, did you see any ghosts? Like, it's really like scary and horrible there. I was like, what? It is? Like, I was kind of like freaked out afterwards, because I didn't realize the importance, or I guess the significance of such a haunted place, like how much violence had happened there, how much death and really sad things had happened there. But mostly when I go to places like that, and I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up in literally an old ass Victorian house that probably had dead people wandering all around, and like that history and that feeling and that oof meant something, right? And all these places I've gone to that have been haunted in a scary sense, like supposed to had some negative energy attached to it, I never really felt that so much. Like, and I wonder if that had anything to do with just my pursuing of people's stories and wanting to see what they had been heard, and, you know, not trying to get them to move shit across the room or tap on walls or anything else. Just show me what energy you had, what vibe were you trying to give to the world, what was your imprint, and can I make that last a little bit longer for you? So just to let you know that thank you for doing what you did for this dimension. Thank you for doing what you did in this world, and not everyone's forgotten you. And we're thankful for you for being here, maybe. I don't know. Getting a little sentimental as it's coming down to Samhain. I don't know. Anyway, this is part of Youtober. There will be one more video, and then it's Samhain. And that'll be it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's already near the end here. Like, October's already wrapping up. It just feels so oof, nice and comfy and cozy, and I don't know, last year I felt like I was like holding on to it like with like deep claws, like, no, let me have it still. And now I'm like just like, yeah, no, it's time to ease into the next stage a little bit. So it's nice and it's comfy in that way. Anyway, I will see you guys next time.